The following Appalachian Mountains horror story is real, disturbing, and should be used as a warning. The names and locations have been altered to protect the individuals involved. Viewer discretion is advised. What a 24-year-old park ranger experienced alone in the new River Gorge last September is one of the most disturbing and unexplained cases to ever come out of the Appalachian Mountains. And the fact that she has never told a single soul about it makes it significantly more terrifying, not less. She went in on a routine welfare check on a quiet Tuesday night. She came out running. And whatever she encountered in that gorge was so deeply unsettling that to this day, weeks later, she still can't fully explain what she saw. She just knows she will never forget it. Laurel Hensley was 24 years old, 6 months out of her field training officer program, and cleared for solo patrol. But just barely. Before she ever sat in a patrol vehicle, she put in 19 weeks at the Park Ranger Law Enforcement Academy. She was a commissioned NPS Protection Ranger. That means she wasn't just a person in a hat handing out trail maps. She carried a sidearm, federal law enforcement authority, and a rescue pack that functioned as a mobile emergency room. EMT Basic certified. Wilderness medicine trained. Her pack on a hike-in medical call carried an AED, aspirin, a tourniquet, clotting gauze, a BVM for rescue breathing, and a handheld radio. She had a duty to act. Federal law, no asterisks. She could not walk away from a medical emergency on park land. She had always felt proud of that. Her district covered 50 miles of New River Gorge. On a good night, she saw a deer and wrote a permit violation. Tonight was supposed to be a good night. New River Gorge, West Virginia. September, 8 p.m. The Appalachians at night are not the Appalachians during the day. The tree canopy swallows the stars whole. The gorge drops the temperature 10 degrees below the surrounding ridge. The New River has been cutting this canyon for 65 million years, one of the oldest river gorges in the world. The rock here is older than bones. The dark here is older than names. Laurel sat in her patrol truck on the access road, a gravel spur that dead-ended at a trailhead kiosk and a rusted gate. No cell service out here. Radio only. She knew every inch of the truck's layout without looking. Full AED, large oxygen tank, advanced trauma kit. She knew exactly where all of it was. Dispatch crackled. Possible cardiac arrest. Male, 39 years old, camping with his family somewhere off the Grandview Rim Trail. His wife had gotten one broken call out before losing signal, just enough for dispatch to catch the location and the complaint. Heart attack. She hadn't been reachable since. Laurel was the closest unit. The next officer, 45 minutes out. She was the only option. She killed the engine, grabbed her rescue pack, locked the truck, and started the clock. 20 minutes on foot to the coordinates. Somewhere up that trail, a woman was alone in the dark with her kids and a husband who might already be gone. The body knows what to do even when the brain is still catching up. Laurel moved, but before she reached the trailhead gate, her headlights caught something on the road. A coyote. Alone, standing completely still in the center of the gravel, directly in her path, not fleeing, not flinching, just watching her, with an expression that had no name in any wildlife training she'd ever done. The protocol surfaced immediately. Lone coyotes are not dangerous to adult humans. Timid, opportunistic, easily deterred. Make yourself large. Show it away. She clapped her hands, raised her arms, stepped forward. The animal held for 1 second longer than it should, then vanished into the brush. She exhaled, moved to the trailhead gate, unlatched it, stepped through, and stopped. A second coyote stood on the other side of the gate. Not the same one. This one was larger, darker, positioned 5 feet directly in front of her. It stood in the exact spot she had just stepped into, as if it already knew where she was going to be. It didn't move. It didn't blink. It tracked her with the same flat, patient attention as the first one, the way something watches when it isn't afraid of you at all. She showed it. It held. She stamped her foot. It took one slow step back, then went still again. She got past it. She told herself it was a coincidence. 2 coyotes at the same trailhead on the same night. Unusual, sure, but this was wildlife country. These things happen. She checked her coordinates and moved up the trail. She didn't look back. She didn't want to know if it was following her. The trail was narrow and completely unlit. Laurel's flashlight threw a cone of white about 15 feet ahead of her. Beyond that, black. The gorge walls rose on her left, slick with moisture, close enough to touch. Dense old growth pressed in on her right. Oak and hemlock so thick, the trunks disappeared into each other in the dark. The air smelled like wet stone and dead leaves, and something underneath both of those things she couldn't name. Something old. Something the gorge had been exhaling for a very long time. She was making good time. Coordinates locked on her Garmin in reach. Standard NPS issue. 10 minutes in, 10 minutes from the patient. She ran her cardiac protocol in her head while she walked. Scene safety first. Introduce yourself, get the history. Aspirin if he's responsive, AED if he's not, airway management, clear an LZ for the helicopter. She had rehearsed this so many times it was less like thinking and more like breathing. It kept her focused. It kept her from thinking about the family waiting up ahead in the dark, the wife, the kids, the husband flat on the ground somewhere off a trail that had no lights and no cell service, and no one coming except her. Then a third coyote stepped onto the trail 20 feet ahead. She stopped. Shoot it. Arms up, clapping, stepping forward. Nothing. The animal stood in the center of the trail and watched her with that same flat attention as the 2 at the gate. She stepped left to go around it. A fourth coyote materialized from the brush on her right. It matched her exact lateral movement. 1 step left, 1 step left, and stopped when she stopped. She stepped back to center. The fourth one stopped too. She stood very still and did a slow count. 1 ahead, 1 to her right. She checked behind her. A fifth one had appeared on the trail at her back, not charging, not growling, not doing anything that any wildlife manual had ever described as threatening behavior. Just repositioning. Quietly, calmly, maintaining spacing as she moved, closing the gaps when she opened them. Like they were running a drill. Like they had done this before. Coyotes do not coordinate like this. That is not a matter of opinion. It is a documented behavioral fact. They are solitary hunters. They do not flank. They do not hold formation. Whatever this was, it did not have a name in the 19 weeks of academy training she had sitting in her head. Her hand moved to her bear spray. She didn't pull it. Not yet. The lead coyote, the one directly ahead on the trail, caught her flashlight beam. Its eyes reflected back, which was normal. Eyeshine was normal. What was not normal was the way it tracked the beam. Not flinching from the light the way animals do. Not looking away. Following the movement of it. Slow left, slow right. With a focus that felt less like instinct and more like attention. The kind of focused, deliberate attention of something that was studying her, measuring her. The copper smell hit her then, sharp and sudden, like it had been waiting for her to slow down enough to notice it. There was no source she could identify, no injury, no animal carcass nearby, nothing that explained it. just the smell, thick in the back of her throat, and the 5 coyotes holding their positions in the dark around her. She was 6 months out of field training. She was on an active cardiac call. A woman up this trail couldn't reach dispatch. There were kids up there. The protocol for wildlife interference in an active medical response was clear. Continue to the patient. Use deterrence. Do not let wildlife delay response. She had a duty to act, and that duty did not have an asterisk for unless the coyotes are acting strange. So she kept walking. The coyotes repositioned around her, smooth and quiet, like water adjusting around a stone. She focused on the coordinates. 5 minutes out. She told herself they weren't hurting her. But the question she couldn't quite finish was this. If they were, where exactly were they hurting her to? The lead coyote charged without any warning at all. No growl, no posturing. 1 second it was standing still in the center of the trail, and then it was covering ground fast, head down, body low, closing 50 yards of open trail in seconds. Laurel's training took over before her brain caught up. She dropped her weight and pulled the bear spray, thumb on the safety, and waited. 12 feet. 10. She stepped back to brace. Her heel caught a stump root. Both feet left the ground. She went down hard on her back, pack taking the impact, the bear spray spinning out of her hand somewhere to her left in the dark. The coyote was still coming. She rolled, palms scraping stone, fingers closing on the canister by pure luck, and fired blind, arm extended, eyes shut. The cloud caught it broadside. The animal twisted hard and crashed sideways into the brush, gone. She was already on her feet. She didn't feel her scraped hand. She didn't feel anything. She ran. The pack broke, but only for a second. She heard them behind her before she reached the first bend, not charging, not closing the distance, just there, behind her, pacing her exactly the way they had before. Same spacing, same quiet, like the charge had been a test and now they were back to the real work. 3 minutes. That is all she can account for with any clarity after that. Flashlight in one fist, pack slamming her spine with every stride, branches raking her shoulders, the trail gone. She was off trail, crashing through underbrush, no idea what direction except away. Her radio bounced uselessly off her hip. Every few seconds she checked behind her. They were always there, not gaining, not falling back. Exactly the same distance, every single time, like the gap between them was fixed, like they were keeping it on purpose. She ran until the trees broke open. She stumbled into a clearing and nearly went down again, chest heaving, flashlight swinging wild. She got her feet under her and straightened up, sucked in one breath, then another. And then she saw it. A church, stone walls, maybe 18 inches thick, mortared rough, field stones stacked by hand, stacked over a long time, by people who were not in a hurry because they planned to stay. A wood steeple, weathered the color of old bone, listings slightly left. No road leading to it. No gravel, no dirt track, no sign that any vehicle had ever come within a mile of this location. No power lines, no NPS marker, no Federal Survey flag, nothing. In 20 minutes of deep gorge wilderness, a church. Old, sealed, present. Laurel stood at the edge of the clearing and tried to get her breathing under control. She had accessed every trail record, every land management file, every satellite overlay in her district. There was no structure at these coordinates. There was no structure anywhere near these coordinates. What she was looking at did not exist on any map she had ever seen. And yet here it was. The door was heavy wood, iron-banded, set deep into a stone arch. She crossed the clearing and shoved it with her shoulder. It swung open, smoothly, hinges quiet, no resistance. not swollen from weather, not rotted through. It opened like a door that had been opened recently, like someone had been keeping it ready. She stepped inside and pulled it shut behind her. She turned back to the small window beside the door, a single pane, clouded with age but unbroken, and looked out at the clearing. The coyotes were at the tree line, all of them, pacing the edge of the open ground with short, tight movements, back and forth, back and forth. But not one of them crossed into the clearing. Not one step onto the open ground between the trees and the church. They paced, and the line held like a wall. She should have felt relief. Some part of her was trying very hard to feel relief. But the ranger part of her, the trained, pattern recognition, nothing is a coincidence part, was stuck on a single question she did not want to finish asking. The coyotes had pushed her off the trail. They had herded her through the brush. They had driven her step by step across 20 minutes of dark gorge wilderness, and they had delivered her here, to this exact clearing, to this exact door. And now they would not come any closer. She turned away from the window to take stock of the interior. The smell hit her first. Wet copper, old wood. Something underneath both of those things that had no clean description. Something that had been sealed in these stone walls for a very long time. She raised her flashlight and took her first real look at the church. The relief began to drain. The flashlight beam swept the nave. 10 pews, 5 to a side, wood so old it had turned the color of charcoal, dust on every surface, thick, undisturbed, accumulated over years. Except the floor. The stone floor had been swept, recently and carefully. No leaves tracked in, no mud, no debris of any kind. Someone had been maintaining this floor while the pews rotted around it. The altar at the far end was bare stone, no cross, no cloth, nothing mounted to the wall behind it. The ceiling was low, heavy timber beams dark with age. Every window intact. Not one broken pane in a building with no access road, no trail, no record of any human presence. Not broken by weather, not broken by animals, not by kids who found it on a dare because no trail led here. The copper smell was stronger inside. Underneath it, something organic and old, like the inside of a cave, like a place that hadn't had fresh air in a very long time. But the door had opened freely. Air moved here. The smell didn't fit the building, and the part of her brain that noticed things for a living filed that away without knowing what to do with it. She defaulted to protocol. When everything else fails, work the problem in front of you. She set her pack on the nearest pew and inventoried. Bear spray, 1 partial canister, maybe 1 good burst left. Trauma kit, full. AED, charged. Aspirin, present. None of that mattered right now. What mattered was the radio. She keyed it. Static. She tried her partner's frequency. Dead air. She tried dispatch. Dead air. She cycled through all 12 channels, one by one, slow and deliberate. Don't skip, don't rush, work the problem. Every channel returned the same thing. Nothing. The gorge walls ate radio signals sometimes, but not like this. Not total silence on every frequency at once. She wasn't just out of range. She was cut off completely. She sat on the edge of the pew and let herself feel the full weight of that for exactly 3 seconds. No radio. 1 partial canister of bear spray. 5 coyotes outside that wouldn't follow her into the clearing. And a family at coordinates she never reached. A wife, kids, a husband on the ground, who had now been without help for over 30 minutes. She started making a plan. Then it happened. A single sound, dry and sharp like a knuckle cracked hard against wood, from the far end of the church, past the altar, where her flashlight beam dissolved into darkness. She went completely still. Old buildings settle. Timber contracts in the cold. She held on to that and waited. 30 seconds of silence. Another click. Same dry sharpness. Closer than the first. From the left side of the nave now, mid-church. She swung her beam left. Pews, dust, stone wall. Nothing. But the click had come from there. She was certain of it. She stood up, hand on her radio by reflex, even though she knew it was dead. 2 clicks at once. Slightly different tones, offset from each other, like 2 sources speaking at the same time. Then 3. Then a rhythm that had nothing to do with settling timber or contracting wood. Deliberate. Patient. The kind of sound something makes when it is not trying to be quiet. When it wants you to know it's there. She panned the flashlight across the full interior. Pews, altar, walls, ceiling beams. Nothing she could see. But the sound was moving. She could track it the way you track thunder by counting seconds. It had started at the back, moved to the middle left. Now it came from the right side, near the altar. It was circling her, slowly, without any urgency at all. Her heart slammed against her sternum hard enough to feel in her throat. Her palms went cold and wet. The flashlight trembled, not from her hands, which were trained to be steady, but from somewhere deeper, some involuntary response she could not override. The copper smell sharpened, the way a smell sharpens when something moves through it. She backed toward the door, 1 foot at a time, eyes forward, hand on the bear spray. The clicking stopped. The silence that replaced it was total and immediate, like a hand pressed flat over a speaker. She froze. 5 seconds. 10. She was almost at the door. She was almost out. From the back right corner of the nave, the one place her beam couldn't fully reach, where the last pew cast a shadow she couldn't penetrate, an exhale. Long, wet, measured. Not the wheeze of something injured. Not the pant of something excited. A slow, deliberate release of breath, the way something breathes when it is completely at rest, completely unhurried, completely comfortable in the dark. It had been there since before she came in. It had let her inventory her gear. It had let her work the radio. It had let her sit on the pew and make her plan. It had been in that corner the entire time, breathing, listening, waiting. The clicking resumed. Louder, continuous. And what Ranger Laurel Hensley saw next, in the beam of her NPS-issued flashlight, in an unmapped stone church at the bottom of a 65-million-year-old gorge, she will never forget for the rest of her life. It came into the light slowly. That was the thing that broke her. Not a rush, not a lunge. Slowly, the way something moves when it has absolutely no reason to hurry. The first thing the beam caught was the hand. Long fingers, too long. The kind of long that made her brain stall and restart because the proportions simply did not compute. They were pressed flat against the stone floor, splayed wide, and as she watched, they dragged forward, deliberately, 1 pull at a time, drawing the rest of the body behind them. Then the arm, pale, almost luminous in the flashlight, the skin pulled so tight over the bone beneath that she could see every ridge of the forearm, every knob of the elbow joint, like whatever was covering the skeleton had shrunk. The arm was too long for the torso that followed it. Much too long. Then the shoulders, blade bones jutting up at wrong angles, sharp enough to press visibly against the skin from the inside. It moved in a pull-drag motion, arms extending forward, body dragging behind, legs folded underneath at angles that should not have supported locomotion. But it covered ground faster than the motion should have allowed, significantly faster. She held the beam on the torso and would not let it move to the head. She was not ready for the head. Some survival instinct older than language told her to keep the beam low and keep backing up, and do not look at the face, not yet. Maybe not ever. But then it stopped. Completely still, halfway up the nave, one arm extended forward. The clicking faded to a low, continuous sound from somewhere deep in the throat. Two tones, she realized again, layered and simultaneous, produced from two places at once in a way that a human throat simply cannot do. And then it raised its head. Laurel looked. She couldn't stop herself. She looked for one single fraction of a second, and that was enough. That was more than enough. She hit the door with her full weight. It burst open, cold air, the clearing. Her legs were already moving. She did not check the tree line. She did not look back at the church. She ran the full 20 minutes back to the truck on pure adrenaline, in the dark, off trail, completely alone, and she did not stop once. She didn't know if the coyotes were still there. She had run blind back through the tree line, back into whatever had been hurting her 20 minutes earlier, and she had chosen that without hesitating. That choice tells you everything about what she saw when it raised its head. She ran the full 20 minutes back to the truck without stopping once. Not jogging, running. Branches tearing at her jacket, boots hitting gravel she couldn't see, packs slamming her spine with every stride. She got to the truck, yanked the door open on the second try, threw herself inside and locked it. Sat there in the dark with her hands on her knees and her lungs on fire, staring at nothing through the windshield. She drove straight to the ranger station, did not stop, did not slow down for the cattle gate at the access road junction, did not look at the trailhead in her rearview mirror as she pulled away. Her partner met her in the parking lot before she even got the door open. Easy smile, coffee in hand, completely unbothered. The family was fine, all four of them. The wife had packed up the campsite, loaded the kids in the car, and driven home 2 hours ago. The husband had hyperventilated badly enough in the dark that his wife was certain it was cardiac. But by the time they hiked out to the road and flagged down a passing driver, he had calmed down completely. Panic attack, not a heart attack. Embarrassing, not dangerous. The wife had left a voicemail apologizing for the trouble. Her partner laughed a little telling it. "Happens every season," he said. "You hungry?" Laurel said no. She signed the incident report. She went home. She did not file a supplemental report about the church. She did not mention the coyotes beyond a single line in her activity log. Wildlife encounter, deterrent deployed, no injury. And she did not describe what she saw move out of the corner of that nave. She has spent the week since last September turning over why, and the closest she can get is simple. There is no version of that report that doesn't end her career. She is 6 months out of field training. She cannot be the rookie who saw something in the woods. And she is not entirely sure she wants anyone else to go look for it. Here is what she does know. The new River Gorge sits on top of one of the largest limestone cave systems in the eastern United States. Limestone is porous. It fractures. It opens. Beneath those old church foundations, the ones built by hand on high ground 200 years ago, there are natural vents that drop straight down into cave networks that have never been fully mapped. Biologists have documented species in those caves that have lived in total darkness so long their eyes have sealed shut. Their skin has gone completely colorless. Their bodies have restructured around a life that has never once required light. The clicking she heard is real. Cave-dwelling animals use echolocation, short, dry, percussive clicks, to map the space around them in the dark, to see without seeing. The Appalachian cave systems beneath the gorge run for hundreds of miles. Most of them have never had a human being inside them. Most of them have openings that have never appeared on any survey, any map, any federal record. Most of them